The wedding sewing has begun, if you can't tell. Hi, my name is Jane. I like to sew with secondhand materials, and today I'm making flower girl dresses. So last week I posted a video about my wedding. I'm getting married in 3 months, 12 weeks, and it's going to be a summer wedding. The theme is like summer garden party. It's not going to be outside because I live in Arkansas and it is really, really hot here during the summertime, and that's just not going to be a fun time for people. But it is going to be a summer garden party themed wedding, and I'm making my wedding dress and I'm making lots of different things for the wedding. But today I'm starting off with the flower girl dresses. This is actually the first thing that I'm making for my wedding, and it's high time I got started. So let's talk about plan. I've never actually made anything for little girls. I have done lots of clothes for myself, and I've learned how to put in darts and accommodate for a bust and for hips, which is more challenging than somebody who does not have curves that you gotta sew around. You know what I mean? So I have learned how to sew on a woman's body. But anyway, I think that sewing for little girls is surely gonna be easier. So I really had to do a lot of brainstorming before this project began, as I've never sewn anything for girls before, and I also don't really know what a typical flower girl dress is like. I cruised the internet, I browsed a whole lot on wedding websites, and I found a silhouette that I liked. Basically just a bodice and a pretty full skirt. I went back and forth in between circle skirt and gathered skirt, and I decided that circle probably looks best on little girls because the waistline is pretty much at the waist and not a low waist situation or anything. And I did toggle with the idea of a cute little Peter Pan collar, but I decided against it because I figured just doing the same dress for all 5 girls was going to be the easiest situation. However, the special thing about these dresses is actually going to be the fact that they're covered in flowers. So the moms of the little girls gave me all their sizes, and they range from sizes 3 to 7. I decided to just purchase a pattern because I don't know what that means. I don't know what a girl's size 3 corresponds to. So I purchased a pattern on Etsy, and it is, I don't know what it's called actually because it's been so long since I bought it. It was $3, which was kind of the reason I bought it because it was so cheap. All I need from this is like a bodice block. Like I just need a bodice block that corresponds to girls sizes 3 through 7. So that is why I purchased a pattern, and I'm not going to be using the skirt portion of the pattern. I just don't need it. Some of the little girls are taller than the other ones, so I'll make their skirts longer accordingly. And there's also going to be a bow tied around the middle of the dresses, which is going to be really cute. But I think that's all the information that I need to share right now. I also just wanted to say that I don't know what I'm doing in terms of fabrication. I have no idea. I've looked at dresses online for the past couple days. What is the order of events here? Do we have tulle and then organza? Do we have tulle and then cotton? Do we just have tulle? What do you put underneath the tulle so that it's not see-through? Basically, I'm confused. But I think that the only way to solve this problem is to just do it. So let's cut out our pattern and get all that sorted out.
Let me tell you guys, this pattern was a disappointment from the start.
That is not correct. No. Wait, I'm confused because this is a different one and this is correct. Whatever. So let's chat about fabrication because I don't have fabric for these. Actually, I did buy something. So I did buy this bolt of lining at Joann's. It is solid white stretch posh lining, 93% polyester, 7% spandex. Please don't come at me for using polyester. I just can't afford cotton lining, like 100% cotton. And I couldn't find this at a Goodwill, or else I would be using cotton. So just don't come at me in the comments. But it is very comfortable, and my main concern for the lining of these pieces is that it's comfortable for the girls to wear for a few hours during the wedding. So I'm gonna be using this, and I'll cut out every single pattern piece, including the skirt, from this. I don't know about the sleeves. We'll see about the sleeves, but I'll do everything from this. And then for the skirt, I want to do at least a couple layers of tulle. We'll see how many it needs to have that like certain oomph. Maybe 4, maybe 5. I'm just not sure because I've never done a skirt like this before. And then I was thinking I would do maybe 1 layer of tulle underneath the bodice pieces, and then I would cover it all with a piece of cream organza. Let me show you. This is my organza bag of fabric. It's actually my favorite kind of fabric, so I have a lot of it. I've been purchasing organza curtains whenever I find them. Look at this one, it's like 20 feet long. There's like this TikTok that blew up about somebody in a Goodwill who bought like 20 feet of this goldish fabric and made this crazy dress. It's so beautiful, and I'm sure you've seen it if you're on the sewing side of the internet, but I feel like this is a similar length to that piece. It's very, very long. So I'm not worried about having enough of it, but I like the color of it. I'm just not sure about order of events, you know, and I want something that holds like looks pretty and can be embroidered on, because I'm gonna be putting flowers and beads on top of the top layer. So we'll see. And also for the skirt, I don't know if I need to make a pattern or not, because it's gonna be a circle. I'll elaborate more once I know for sure what I'm doing. Unrelated to wedding sewing, but I was in Colorado Springs a couple months ago. I was in Colorado Springs because my brother goes to school there, and there was a fabric shop and they had this on discount for like $3 a meter. So I did buy 10 meters of this iridescent fabric, and I'm so excited to sew with it. You guys see why I'm having to like drag myself tooth and nail to do wedding stuff? I just have so many fun projects lined up. But let's get cutting out and decide what we're doing here. Last thing, I buy my tulle from the tulle shop, I'm pretty sure, .net, .org, .com. I don't know what it's called, I'll link it in my bio. But it's a lot cheaper than buying it from a fabric store. Each one of these is like $5 and it's 100 yards, and it's 54 inches wide, but you can also get rolls that are 100 inches wide in case you needed that. And so I purchased white, and I also purchased cream because I thought for sure cream would be nicer, but it's very yellowish. I don't love it. So I think I might end up doing white, or I thought I could do a layer of both and intermix them. And I also have pink. We'll see. I think I'm just gonna do like a layer of this, a layer of this, a layer of this, a layer of this, and it'll be a beautiful mix of the two of them.
So I started by cutting out my pattern pieces from organza, tulle, cotton, and my polyester lining, which I do decide later on not to use that as lining. But anyways, I cut out my skirt with 5 layers of tulle, 1 layer of polyester lining, 1 layer of organza, and 1 layer of cotton. I cut out my bodice with 1 layer of cotton, 1 layer of polyester lining, 1 layer of organza. I cut out my sleeves with 2 layers of tulle, 1 layer of organza, and 1 layer of polyester lining.
Here's my skirt pieces. You can already tell it's gonna be a really cool skirt once it's all assembled. I think that this is a good amount, like just eyeballing it, I can tell it's gonna be a good level of fluffiness. I might need a couple more layers of tulle, but that can always be done.
Whenever you keep fabric underneath your bed in large bags, it really gets wrinkled, so you have to iron out absolutely everything. Not that you shouldn't iron anyway, but as I was ironing out my organza and all my other fabrics, I realized that I actually liked the look of the organza on top of the polyester lining fabric that I had bought a lot better than I liked the organza on top of the cotton that I was using. So I switched my plan and I decided that organza on top of polyester fabric would be my front pieces for all of the dresses. So then I pinned everything in place and actually serged the edges of each pattern piece with the organza on top of the polyester fabric.
My camera's never high enough for myself. The front of the bodice is complete. It looks so tiny. This was going to be the size 6. I have a few girls who are a size 6, 5/6, and I did use the size 6 pattern that I bought, and this is not gonna cut it because they also sent me their measurements, and this is too small. So I would not recommend this pattern, and also, yeah, just wouldn't recommend this pattern from the sizing alone. But it's okay because I can give it to one of the girls who's a size 4 or a 5 maybe. I'll have to figure out sizing after I make them. This is the first one, so it can be given to whoever. And then after this, I'll have to be a little bit more particular. But I have decided that this looks pretty nice. And so I'm just gonna do this for the skirt. Because if I just do organza, hold on, these are pinned together right now. But if I just do organza, all of the thread is still gonna show. And it's just gonna be too messy for me. I've gotta do something solid underneath it. And then I've decided that the cotton is actually gonna be my lining, and I'm using the polyester that I bought as lining to be like the underside of my organza. So those two are serving as the front piece. Does that make sense? If you have questions, leave a comment below. I'd love to help you out. I'm really trying to explain myself clearly here, but I am gonna have to cut out cotton for the skirt because I think that this alone, even with tulle, is some layers of tulle, I just don't want it to be see-through. I don't want them to be uncomfortable. So I'm gonna do cotton as a lining.
I pretty much repeated my process that I had done with the bodice by ironing out all my fabric pieces and then pinning them all together and then serging the organza on top of the polyester and then actually just using my sewing machine to put the pattern pieces together. Just want to make sure all those raw edges are super clean, you know. Before I put my sewing machines away to do some beading on my desk, I want to make flower petals because I have a method that I think is going to be pretty good for those, and it does require a zigzag stitch around the edge of each petal. So I made this dress the other day out of a shower curtain, and I don't know if
if you can see, but there's little flowers on there, and I just cut them out of the shower curtain, and it is a pretty polyester fabric. I would say 100% polyester, but I think that this would work on cotton as well. I'm about to try it, and I just cut out really, really small flower petals and do a zigzag stitch around them. I can't serge them because the serging like edge would be too thick for how small they are. And then someone said, why don't you burn them? But I like the look of the zigzag stitch. I know that it would save time to just burn it, especially if it's a synthetic fabric. It will just like keep the edges from fraying, but I don't really want to do that. I do need to figure out what colors I'm doing and what fabrics though to determine best method to keep the edges nice and clean. All of these flowers will be really small though. I'm not doing any big ones. Like there are big ones on that dress, but I'm not doing those, just the really, really tiny ones. I will, however, be using a lot of fabric because it does take a lot to do these little flowers, and I might as well cut out enough right now to do for all 5 of the dresses and then some on my wedding dress as well. So I'm just gonna cut some flower petals out. I have my color palette and it seems excessively colorful, but I think it's gonna be good. This is my unorganized box of fabric. That's pretty good. Hey, a lot of stuff happened last night, like a lot, and I gotta tell you about it. As I was sewing my flower petals, I kept skipping stitches and my machine was just not working well. And so I thought to myself, you know what? I could try cleaning it out. I don't know why that thought occurred to me because please, please don't kill me. This is a major red flag for a sewist. I have not cleaned that machine since I got it a year ago, and I sew every day, all day. Somebody online said you should be opening up your bobbin case and cleaning that out like every 4 to 5 bobbins. And I go through probably like 20 bobbins a day if I'm actually sewing. So that's horrifying. So I opened it up and it was crazy. It was so full of lint. It's honestly like a fire hazard. I was shocked. I actually felt so bad that I've let my machine be that dirty for that long. So I spent a good 30 minutes cleaning it out. I don't have like a handheld vacuum add-on attachment, so I had to just get a needle and get the little brush thing that the machine comes with and totally clean it out. But it's looking a lot better and it feels like a brand new machine. It's crazy. I do need to like oil it, and I want to learn how to just service my machine myself, because whenever I take it in to get serviced, they take like 6 weeks, and I cannot afford to be without a sewing machine for 6 weeks at this point in my life. That sounds so dramatic. There are bigger things in the world, yeah. But anyway, so I did that last night and now it's working so much greater. So I think I'm just gonna set up shop today and sew some stuff on. Let me be real with you. I actually did start this last night and I sewed 3 flowers on, and that's what they look like so far. Pretty, right? However, I thought to myself that I would be sewing beads and sequins all over this skirt, but upon further reflection, I think not. It is very pretty. Don't get me wrong. I actually really love the look of it. There's only a few on there right now. Stunning, right? But like, time-wise, that's delusional. I am already delusional with the amount of wedding sewing I'm doing, and I'm definitely gonna be beading my wedding dress, but beading 5 of these, this is a lot of material. I think that's just that's not feasible for myself at this time. Room is already a disaster. Ooh.
I truly cannot express how long I spent zigzag stitching the edges of these flowers. So much time. It's okay though, I do love what I do and I'm very grateful to have the time to do this. It is a lot, and I wish that I had found some of these somewhere, but I just am having trouble finding affordable fabric flowers. If anybody has any recommendations, please let me know. I would really, really love anything that you've got. I did take breaks in between sewing flowers to start to put together the other pattern pieces.
I hate tulle, and this doesn't even look good, and also I think it's too small because this pattern, the sizing is just all wrong. I give this pattern a -1 out of 10. Why would you buy a pattern if the sizing is not even correct?
As you remember, I had 5 layers of tulle for my skirt, and while you can leave tulle unhemmed because it's not a fabric that frays, I did decide that since my other fabrics in the skirt were hemmed, I needed to hem the tulle as well. So I just went around the edges of it with my serger. I think that that's good enough. I hate tulle. Sorry, I don't use the word hate a lot, but I really, really strongly dislike tulle. Once I had fought with tulle for a sufficient amount of time, I decided to finish up my bodice. I had attached the front and back pieces together for each of my front and inside pieces. Does that make sense? If you have questions, just leave a comment below. And I put the zipper onto my organza pieces, organza and polyester, and then I attached my lining right sides together along the top seam as well as the zipper, so that the zipper was pretty much invisible. The only part of the zipper that was showing from the outside was the teeth. I also attached the lining and the outside pieces together at the bottom as well as the armholes.
This is what the top looks like. Can you tell that zipper is so clean and nice. I like it. Okay, this skirt is literally too full for this bodice. Like, look at the size of the bodice versus the size of this skirt. That is so frustrating. Do you know how long I spent sewing flowers on this? I feel like this whole project is just really frustrating me for no reason. I need to take a chill pill. I already went to the gym today because I was frustrated with everything, but I don't feel like taking this whole thing apart, obviously. Sometimes sewing is so annoying. I don't know, I really considered it, and I think like that skirt is just huge. It's literally huge. Plan of action. Turn it inside out, sew a new line down it, and then take all the flowers off so I can reuse the petals, and then take everything out of my 5 layers of tulle and my cotton underlayer as well.
Please keep in mind that this was my first dress out of 5, and at this point in the project I had already spent so many hours on this little girl's dress, which was fine. I just did not expect to spend so much time on a little girl's dress, and I was also getting really frustrated because I had to redo everything, and I was working with tulle, and I dislike tulle, and overall just getting frustrated. I did have to take a chill pill.
Can you tell that that is much better? Boom. Because I changed the shape of these skirts, I have to change the shape of all of this. It's okay, it's just 5 layers. I guess I could have the tulle be a little bit more gathered. Actually, that would be cute. Let me just gather the tulle by itself, and then I'll gather those two by themselves, and then we'll put them all together and attach them to the top of the bodice, and then we shall add the sash and the sleeves. That's what we'll do.
Once I wrestled with tulle and got all my 5 layers of tulle assembled and put together, I started on the sleeves. So for the sleeves, I pretty much just put all of my fabric pieces together for each sleeve and serged the edges so that everything was nice and neat. And then I went about putting the sleeves together at the side seams, and then I did decide to do a little elastic channel at the bottom of them to give them that nice cute little puff. And yeah, the sleeves were an easy part of the project.
Hey, it's pretty cute and it's so tiny. Do you guys ever think about the fact that like while you're cutting threads or something, if you accidentally just cut your project, it would be so totally ruined? Like one tiny little seconds long mishap could ruin so many hours of work. I think about that a lot, honestly. This is layer, middle layer, inside layer, outside. How do we...
Oh my gosh, guys, I promise we're almost done with this dress. I feel like it's been so long. Well, to be exact, it's been about 17 minutes. But to put the dress together, I decided to put my skirt pieces together, which at this point is 3 separate pieces, but really it's 7 layers of fabric. No, 8 layers of fabric, but 3 separate pieces. And I serged all of those together at the top just so everything was nice and neat. And then I turned that inside out and placed it on the bodice, right sides together, just sewed that together in a loop. It was super quick and easy, and it was enough of a finishing for me for the dress. I think that the inside of the dress looks pretty nice. There's a few seams, but for the most part, it's really neat. Close to the last step for this dress was just doing the tie around the waist.
I'm gonna go for a 96-inch bow. Clearly I have no sense of measurements because I thought that I would do a 4-foot bow. And I'm gonna do it 7 inches wide and just fold it in half. And I'm gonna do that out of my polyester fabric and my organza, and I think that's gonna look nice. So 96 inches by 7 inches is gonna be my bow, and I'm gonna put in 2 belt holders, whatever you call those little thin things, on the sides of the dress out of embroidery thread so that the bow stays in place. And I want the bow to be on top of the skirt, so I want it to sit on the bodice part because I think the bodice is just a little bit long, so the bow will kind of shorten that visually, and then it will be good.
I did sew the bow together at both ends of it and just left a gap in the middle, if that makes sense, so that I turned it inside out from both ends of the bow just so I could do those nice diagonal ends that look really great on bows. And then I did a slip stitch to just close up the hole that I had left, and then I put cute little embroidery thread loops on the dress, and that was it. It was done. I wish that this was as fast as I did the next 4 dresses, but it was not, so I've all sped it up. It's the same process. I made less mistakes on the other ones, but they still took me about 3 to 4 hours each, which seems like a lot of time, but yeah. And then I didn't even get started on beading those until a little bit later on, and I spent so many hours putting flowers on the dresses. It was good though. I watched the entire Hunger Games series. I watched The Devil Wears Prada, Legally Blonde, a lot of Vampire Diaries, Pride and Prejudice, the BBC 1996 version, 1995, my bad.
Oh, hey, me? What am I doing? I'm just making flowers like the past 5 days. I am not angry about this or tired of making flower petals. So I went from Gutermann thread to Walmart brand thread, and I do feel like that is a step down in life. I just am dubious about the quality of this stuff, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, I think I forgot to mention, halfway through this project, I realized that the large fabric flowers were indeed large and I wanted something a little bit smaller. And I've really had a tough time finding affordable small fabric flowers, if that makes sense. I've looked everywhere online. The only options seem to be Temu, and I'm very, very skeptical about ordering from there. Amazon doesn't have anything, Joann's doesn't have anything. So I went to Hobby Lobby and I bought these bunches of flowers. I took all the petals off and then just sewed those on with beads in the center, and they were really cute. And so I did that for a lot of my time. I spent a lot of time on that.
The dresses are done. Oh my gosh, that took so long. I don't want to hand sew for a while. They're very, very pretty. The flowers are so delicate and sweet. I really, really love them. This is one of the smaller ones, I'm pretty sure. It's just so pretty. I still don't know anything about children's sizing and clothing, so if you do make children's clothing, I would love any tips you have. That would help me out a lot. If you're still here at this point in the video, I really, really, really appreciate you watching all of this and being interested in my sewing. I genuinely love sewing so much, and I've been so excited for this group of projects, so it feels good to have something done. To be honest, I don't really feel a huge sense of accomplishment because I have so much left to do, and it feels like my wedding dress is just like this looming event before me that I need to get done in order to really get a good night's sleep. So I'm really, really, really excited to start that. I know that I say that all of the time. I'm excited to start it, but I'm for real about to start it now that I've finished these flower girl dresses. If you're interested in seeing more of me and more of my sewing, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at Jane's Dresses. All of that will be linked below, and I hope you have a lovely day. Oh, I also started a list of things that I'm learning in this entire process so that whenever I make a video after I've gotten married and have made everything, I can say like, these are my tips. These are what you should not do, and I have some for these projects alone. Number one, don't use fabrics that melt, because it's really annoying when you've sewed together a bodice and then you melt a tiny little part of it, but the whole thing's ruined. So just don't use polyester fabrics that melt, like polyester organza. I just don't recommend it. Always buy one more yard of fabric than you think you need. I needed one more yard of a fabric that I was using for this, and I went to Joann's and they were out because everybody's going to Joann's and buying up fabric like crazy. Do not assume that hand sewing anything onto a dress is going to be a timely process. It's gonna take a really long time, always. It will always take a long time. I'm trying to get a decent photo of it without my feet in it because I don't really have anywhere for it to hang. Okay, we're done with this. We're so done with this.